We're going to start chapter 15, verse 1 and 2. Okay. All right. So, Tani, you get us started. I don't know what page. Chapter 15. You have what page is it, Mordechai? Verse 1. So you have to understand what's the context of what we're talking about here. Bnei Yisrael has just been told that they're not going to enter into the land of Israel. They've been told that they're not going in. And they've been told that if they go in, God will not be with them. Right then, at that moment, that's when we have this next law, which is, what are the first words they're told right after they're told they're not going in? Chapter, you have the place, Tommy? Rashi Shelach? What? Chapter 15. At page 817. Alayhem. All right, so the very first words after God tells them that they're not going into the land are, when you come to the land of your dwelling places that I will give to you. So they were immediately given a law about the land. What is this law? Rashi says, Biser lahem. He promised them, sheyikansu aretz, that they would enter the land. Meaning to say, this passage is going to deal with certain sacrificial offerings or libations that accompany other offerings. So we would have expected it to appear in Vayikra. So the reason why it's being told out of context here is because we're being told Hashem is reinforcing them that they're eventually going to come into the land. Okay, keep going, Tommy. Vasitem. Okay, good. So, very good, Tony. So Hashem says, when you come into the land, and you shall make an Ishel Hashem, a fire offering to God, an Olah o Zevach. If you bring a carbon, an Olah is an Olah, and a Zevach is typically understood to bring a different, an Olah is an animal that's entirely burnt, and a Zevach is usually a Shlamim. But following Neder, o Benedava. That's you made a vow. You have to do a Neder or a Nedava, two different types of vows, or the Moadochem, or it's your festival, and you have to bring a sacrifice on your festival. You bring an offering to God from the cattle or from the sheep. So you decide you want to bring a carbon. We're having a law. This is going to be a law that all the sacrifices have accompanying offerings, and those offerings are called the nesachim, the libations. Hello, Ezra. Grab a chumash, my friend. Okay, so what does Rashi say? This is not a commandment to bring an offering. It means that when you come there, and it will enter your heart that you want to bring a carbon to make a sweet smell before God, that as an obligation to fulfill bring the sacrifices. On every sacrifice, on every festival, what sacrifice do you have to bring? You have to bring what's called an oil sri'iyah, offering upon making a pilgrimage. and a shalmei chagiga to bring a festival. These are the offerings you bring. Okay. The next pasuk says, "Ve'kriv makriv karbano Hashem mincha soas." So now we're going to go through the nisachim. We did this all in nisachim. We just did them in tractate menachos. That the korban that's being brought has every korban that's brought has these grain offerings accompanying it, and they're going to list it. So the korban has an accompanying korban. The korban is an accompanying korban of flour and oil. That's what it says. The one who makes the offering should bring mincha soas isaron, an isaron of flour, balul b'revius ahin, mixed with a revius ahin of oil. Now let me see. I'm going to look at the Torah Tamima here to see if he notes something that's incredibly important. That's a very important principle of the Talmud. Let's see if he mentions it here. Torah Tamima cites the Talmud usually. So let's see if he cites it here. He doesn't. He doesn't cite it, so I'll tell it to you. It says here that the flour needs to be mixed with oil. Now, that's why you can't have more than 60 sarons of flour mixed in with one revius ahin of oil, because if you do that, then it won't be mixed properly. So if you do that, then it won't be mixed properly. But the Talmud asks, it's not required. The flour and the oil, even if you don't mix it, it's still okay. So why, if you have too high a ratio for it to be mixed, is it disqualified? So in this context, Rabbi Zera says, Kol haroy labila eina bila ma'akevesbo. Kol she'eino roy labila bila ma'akevesbo. I'm going to translate that. And then this is the Talmudic logic. If anything is capable of being mixed, meaning if you have enough flour and oil that in that one utensil you can mix it, you could theoretically mix it properly, then you're not required to mix it. But if in that one utensil you couldn't mix it properly, there's too much flour to mix it with the oil, then the offering is disqualified. You have to be capable of mixing it, even though you're not required to mix it. You don't understand it? No, that's the point. It doesn't need to actually be mixed, but it has to be capable of being mixed. Meaning to say, what they said is if you have more than 60 units of flour in that utensil, then it's not capable of being mixed properly. And so therefore the offering is disqualified. But let's say you have 59 units and you don't mix it. You don't mix the flour with the oil. Well, that it's still, then it's not disqualified. Then it's okay. No, you should mix it. But if you didn't mix it, it would be okay. It just needs to be capable of being mixed. So that's the legal principle, is if it's capable of being mixed, then you don't have to actually mix it. But if it's not capable of being mixed, then the fact that it's not capable of being mixed disqualifies it. No, you burn it on the altar. You burn it. Yeah, you pour it onto, you mix it and then you pour it on the altar. Yeah.
Where is
the Mizbeach? The Mizbeach was destroyed. This altar, yeah, the altar was destroyed. It's gone. Yeah, the altar is gone. So let's see what Rashi says here. Rashi says, Takribun, so you should bring Takribun Isacham Umincha Uchol Behema. You shall bring these libations for every animal. You shall offer libations and a mincha offering for every animal. The mincha, the mincha is burnt. V'hashemen nival b'tocho, and the oil is mixed into the flour. V'yayin l'sefon, the wine is goes into basically. What do you do with the wine? So the flour and oil is poured onto the fire, but what do you do with the wine? The wine is going to be mixed. Hello, Kobe. Hello, Levi. So the wine was poured into these two pipes that were on the southwest corner of the altar, and you would pour the wine down there. So this would happen every day, multiple times a day. So how often was that cleaned out? So the Talmud in Sukkah, somebody could look this up and check me. But the Talmud in Sukkah says that they cleaned it out. One opinion was every 70 years they cleaned it out just to make sure it was cleaned. You can look that up. Yeah. Every 70 years. Just what? No, they would clean it every 70 years. What? The water libation was only done on Sukkot. It's a good question. I'm trying to remember from the Gemara where the water libation was taught. I think the water libation was not. I think it was. We have to check. I mean, I don't remember offhand.
It's the extra mem, yud, and mem in the second, sixth, and seventh day in Pinchas.
No. I'm trying to remember where it was poured. I think it was poured down those pipes also. I think so.
Yeah, and,
I
and
mean,
that was
I mean,
and
no,
that
you
was
could
why
say
Yanai was did it wrong. He did it on the floor instead of on the side of the mizbeach.
I know that he did it wrong. I'm just trying to remember if that was the right place. If the Gemara says that that was the right place. Okay, so the yeah. What?
Put on YouTube a reenactment of the temple service.
Yeah.
Rich.
Okay, so Kobe, you read the next pasuk, pasuk Hey. What? Verse 5.
15:5.
Yeah, 15:5. V'yayin l'nesach. No. V'yayin l'nesach.
V'yayin l'nesach. Rabiti. El Parandon.
Very good. So in addition to the flour mixed with oil, you have an isaron of flour mixed with a quarter rug of oil. Then you also had a wine libation accompanying it. A wine libation, the yayin l'nesach. Hello, no, right here, right next to me, we have a seat. The yayin l'nesach, we have a revius ahin of wine. Ta'asel ha'olah, you should make for an olah or a zevach or for a shlomim or keves for one sheep. So these are the accompanying libations. They're giving us the formula. Okay, Elon, read the next pasuk, Vav. Parak Tes Vav, pasuk Vav. Ola. So if it's a ram, right. So if it's a ram, then you should make a mincha of 2 asronim of flour mixed with a third hin of oil. Now, Rashi says from the fact that it says, oh, la'ayil, we learned this in actually in Chulin just 2 weeks ago, or a little bit more than 2 weeks ago, that it could have just said aisle for an aisle, but why did it say or for an aisle? So the Gemara in Chulin says it's coming to include a palgas. What's a palgas? So the palgas is that there's a stage of the there's 3 stages of the sheep. There's keves, which is a sheep under 1 year old. That's what you need sometimes for some karbanos. Like most famously is which carbon needs to be under a year old? A sheep or a goat under a year old? Which carbon? What? Very good, Jonathan. The carbon Pesach. And then some carbonos have to be a ram, which is 13 months and older. What's it called from between? Hello, Eliezer. What's it called between 12 and 13 months? That's called a palgas. That's this word here, the palgas. This is an interesting word because the palgas is actually, what language does it sound like it's from? What?
Greek.
Very good. And what does it mean in Greek? So we have a footnote here. It comes from the Greek word palax, which means adolescent. So adolescent.
What was the age?
So that's an adolescent sheep.
13.
12 months to 13 months is called a palgas, an adolescent sheep.
Yeah, it's smart.
Yeah, John. Okay.
What's it called after a year?
After a year, it's called an aisle, but that aisle is only from 13 months and up.
And before a year, it's called
Keves. But the interesting thing is sometimes in the Torah, the word is written keves, and sometimes it's written as kesev. They interchange the vav and the sin. Why? So Rashi tells us who keves, who kesef, who kesef, who keves. Rashi tells us it's the same word. It's just sometimes interchanged, which is very weird. Like it would be like if you had a word in English that you sometimes interpose letters and it's the same word, like ask, and some people say ax, right? AKS, and some people say ask, like different dialects. Like, you know what I'm talking about? I'm asking you, and some people say I'm axing you. You never heard that? For real?
They need to read.
No, that's what it's saying. It's not that they don't need to read more. These are different ways of saying it. You never heard people, nobody ever heard the AKS is this, that the ask is also sometimes said as ax. I'm axing you. What? Many times. What? Mordechai?
I've heard.
You've heard it, yeah. Nobody's heard that?
I've heard it plenty of times.
Norai's heard it plenty of times. In your school, probably, right?
Yeah.
From the teachers.
The kids that like don't really know how to speak.
Well, maybe they do know how to speak. It's just a different dialect. That's the point. Right. It's the same thing. Like you might say we're more correct, but I don't know. Like we're more correct in this culture. But if you go into a different culture and you start saying ask, they'll look at you like you're incorrect. Okay, no, right, you go on.
Time?
Yeah, Pasuk Zayin. Actually, you know what? There's no Rashis on those, so then just go to Pasuk Yud. V'yayin takriv v'nesach.
Yain takriv v'nesach. Tzvi v'ayin asher rif nechach v'ashem.
Right, and so you bring a wine for a libation, a half a hin of wine. So it'll be a sweet smell. Let me ask you another question. Can you just bring a wine as a carbon on the altar? Can you say, I want to bring a voluntary offering of wine? Is that acceptable? Does anybody say yes? Levi, you say yes? Why do you say yes?
Maser Sheni, not the korban.
What? So Levi's correct. You can bring a voluntary offering of wine. The Gemara said this in Menachos. What do you do with it? You sprinkle it on the altar and it makes a sweet smell. You can use it as perfume on the altar. So you could do it. The Gemara says you could bring, the Gemara Menachos discusses you could bring, what about wood? Can you bring wood as an offering? Yes. So it's the same Gemara that says wood says wine. Yes.
Anything that smells good?
No, you cannot bring anything. Excuse me. You certainly can't bring a non-kosher animal as an offering, and you also can't bring a kosher animal if it's not one of the animals listed in the Torah. Like a deer is a kosher animal, or a giraffe is a kosher animal, but you can't bring them as korbanos because they're called the chaya. They're undomesticated animals. Okay, pasuk Yud Aleph here. No, right? You right? Yeah.
Would you eat a deer today if it was
Shechted?
Yeah.
I mean, you could just go into Rock Creek Park and get a deer and shecht it. Why not?
I don't think that's legal.
What?
Not legal, that's not legal.
No, I mean during hunting season.
What?
Finish your weird. That's the beef. That's the
There are times when, there are times when the Park Service sponsors, shoots.
Yes.
So they're very-
every so often.
Okay. All right, guys, let's pull it in here. Okay. So yeah, you could theoretically slaughter a deer. They do it at night. What they do is they go in and they call them with like rifles. So we once had a guy who studied with us, and he took his bow and arrow and he brought it into the park and he killed it. Yeah, I'm not joking. But can you do a shlita with a bow and arrow? Yeah, we had that explicitly in the Talmud that you're allowed to do a shlita with a bow and arrow. You have to make sure you do it properly. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not sleeping well.
What? I mean, I don't recommend it. But why not? You know what? We have so much food nowadays, we don't feel like we need it. But Alan, did you ever see a deer being slaughtered for meat? Yeah, Alan must have seen it many times. Because he lived.
My van.
No, that doesn't count. Alan lived in the forest for 2 years, right?
2 years?
Colorado.
No, right here, Rock Creek Park. He lived in Rock Creek Park for 2 years.
Country, I got as far as Western New York State. I was going to a festival at 3 o'clock in the morning. I said to myself, 10,000 miles in 2 weeks. No accidents, no breakdowns. What a good driver I am. The minute I said that, this deer jumped out in front of me. Tore up my rod.
All right, let's go on. Next verse. Okay. Pasuk Yud Aleph. Who's going to be verse 11? Verse 11. Okay. No, right. Read Pasuk Yud Aleph. And Aaron, you'll read next. We'll call on Aaron next.
Rabbi, I just read.
I know, but you came late, so we're making you do extra work. Kacha Yaseh.
יעשה עשור האחד הוא פעיל, האחד הוא נחת בחמסים או בעזים.
Right. Kacha says, thus shall you do l'shor echad, for one ox, or l'ayil echad, or one ram. O l'seh ba'kvasim, or for a seh, for the kvasim o ba'izim. So Rashi tells us that the word seh, this is something you have to know. By the way, these peanut butter brownies, nobody should eat them and then give Judah a hug, because Judah is very sensitive to peanut butters.
I'm gonna put them in this box.
That's not funny. No, right? Yeah, Judah went to Mexico, and then in the airport he got some thing like granola and had peanut butter, and then he had to spend a week in the hospital. Yeah. Anyway, the word seh, Rashi tells us that the word seh can apply to a sheep or a goat, and so therefore, within its first year, it's called a keves. Now, why is this relevant? What halacha do we need this for? When it says when you bring a seh as a korban pasach, do you have to bring a korban pasach from a sheep or from a goat?
A sheep.
Why don't you listen to Jonathan? He gets the right answer almost all the time. that Jonathan is correct. It can be brought from either a sheep or a goat because it says seh. And Rashi says the seh refers to either a sheep or a goat underneath a year. So you can, nobody would eat a goat if they could eat a sheep because I think goats are pretty disgusting. I actually, in my life, I have no problem eating any food. I'll eat anything except for goat cheese. I find that to be like I get a reaction like it's nauseating. I feel like I'm eating vomit. That's what the reaction I get.
When I'm eating cheese, I feel like to vomit. I know.
Not cheese, goat
Yeah,
cheese.
no, when I'm eating cheese, meat.
Okay, now, okay, so now
Don't eat cheese.
let's go on to the next law, which is going to be about the laws of. Oh wait, let's do one more pasuk here. So it says, Rashi says here. Let's go to verse 15, 16. Aaron. Yeah, 16. Okay, so there shall be one law for, and one teaching for you and for the ger agaritchem. The ger, what does the ger mean? So ger, Rashi says, means the convert. So we might think, okay, what's the big deal? Everybody has the same law. But Jeff is a lawyer, and Jeff could tell you that for a lot of history, there were different laws between people who were citizens and non-citizens. They had different laws. That's one of the big debates here.
You're a foreigner, you go to a museum. In almost every country in the world, there's one fee to go to the museum for local citizens and one for foreign.
In America, is there? So one of the questions is, when foreigners are on American property, they have the same rights as an American. So for example, let's say you're to take the topic du jour, let's say you're undocumented alien and you're in this country. Anybody here like that, by the way? You sometimes have kids like that. Yeah.
That used to be, not anymore.
No, wait. So do they have the same rights? Like, for example, the right of free speech. Do they have the right of free speech?
Yeah. No.
You say no.
Well, that's an issue. They want to throw away foreigners. The students that we should bring, if they're not citizens, sometimes they say,
So you're saying they don't have rights. They don't have due process. They don't have due process. Like they could be put in a detention center. What?
Aren't there some like students that were on like student visas that got deported from like all this like outside?
Yeah, well, those people, they were violating their visa. Well, if you're here on a visa, when you come on a visa, you make certain commitments and agreements. And yeah, you can't be. And some of them relied on their visa. Like this person, Khalil, God willing, he'll be deported soon. He lied on his visa application. And so now, and he's like in his late 30s, and he claims he's a student at Columbia. Give me a break. Yeah. Well, I want him to be deported. He's a very bad man. Yes.
On the other hand, my third tenant who's been picked up by guys, he 25 years he's been here, raised a family, filed, paid taxes, filed all the forms.
Yeah, that person sounds like a great guy.
I just saw him 2 weeks ago in the detention center up in Pennsylvania. He filed, there was a 1-page form, change of address. Congress changed it to 13 pages after he'd already filed his change of address. But because by the time they considered it, it's now 13 pages, they came and picked him up. They knew where because he told them his new address, my house. And they took him away. He's been now 2 months in detention.
Well, that's a bummer. That sounds terrible.
And that's difficult. There were 98 people in this one big room, one bunk bed.
Yeah, well, the difference between a detention center, you know what a difference between a detention center where the illegal or undocumented workers go versus a prison?
they have more bathrooms.
No, the prisons are for a specific amount of time. Detention center could be unlimited. You could be in a detention center without limit.
If you agree to go back. You can immediately go out of the detention center.
Not necessarily.
You say, oh.
No, he said he agreed to be deported 3 weeks ago, and they still haven't done it.
No, it's not so
They're
simple.
making $1,000 a day on these prisoners,
I see.
so it's not in their interest. They move you to the other side of the country so that you can't have visitors, so you get lost in the system. If you go there and you say, I'm here to see so and so, unless you have the number, you can say, I'm here to see them now. They don't
Okay.
say,
We'll stop here. We got a little sidetracked.